We have our land acknowledgement and anti-racism statement can be found online. A roll call tonight, we have several directors missing. We have timing. Excused, Lori, excused. AJ is out.
He's excused, there's
Yes,
an
ma'am.
email from him.
Who else? Give me the.
And Rob
Oh, Rob and
sent a
Dan.
note, and Daniel has his.
And they have their
ACC meeting, yes.
Yeah, thank you. Correct, thank you very much. Item number 1 is adoption of the agenda.
Move to adopt the agenda.
Second. Who is their second?
Ray.
Thank you, Ray. All in favor? Aye. Okay, that's unanimous. Moving on to item number 2, announcements. Do we have any announcements tonight?
I have one.
Okay, and I will as
And
well.
you got another one too, I think.
Yeah. Okay, Linda?
So, as we all know, Marina, stuff has gone out to renewals and stuff. And Kyle sent a note out to all the members that use the marina that says, hello, if you go to the marina page of the website, there are 2 new buttons that work. Since it's marina renewal season, we will be getting lots of calls about the wait list. The full wait list with just first initial and last name is now posted and available. Please direct people to the website for people asking where they are on the wait list. The marina wait list application is now online also. There's a form in there that you can fill out with all of your information. Some of it that we have now is kind of, oh, catch as catch can, but this one should give us a better listing of people. And if you have any questions, contact Kyle.
Good, thank you. Any other announcements? All right, I have one announcement tonight. Ironically enough, it's on attendance. And I just added something to the board packet for all the directors tonight. I'm gonna go ahead and read it out loud. It'll be quick. And believe me, we all understand this is volunteer and people have vacation and some other commitments and things like that. So totally understandable. I'm just gonna go ahead and read it. All right, to all board members, I am writing to address an important matter regarding board meeting attendance. As you know, our board meetings are crucial for the effective governance and strategic direction of SCCA. Your presence and participation are highly valued and essential to our collective success. I understand that everyone has demanding schedules and unforeseen circumstances can arise. However, consistent attendance is vital for maintaining the momentum of our initiatives and ensuring that all voices are heard in our decision-making processes. To support you in fulfilling your role, I would like to offer the following suggestions. If you anticipate any conflicts with upcoming meetings, please inform us as early as possible by either emailing the entire board or please email the entire board so that we are all aware that you won't be here. This will allow us to make necessary adjustments or reschedule if needed. For any meetings you may miss, we hope that you are reviewing the board materials and watching the meetings on YouTube to keep yourself informed and engaged. Your commitment to our board is greatly appreciated. Thank you for your understanding and your cooperation. Please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. Thank you very much. That was it. Any additional? Yes, sir.
Yeah, just real quick, is Kyle located right here at the rec center?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir, it is. Okay, moving on to item number 3, property owner comments. We have 15 minutes total, 3 minutes per property owner. Joseph?
Thank you.
So you come up, yeah, say your name, you know.
Yep, Joe O'Keefe, Grandview Lane, lived here for 18 years. I want to make an appeal to you guys to help save the tank. 3 words, save the tank. There's a 1 million gallon water tank up there that is basically going to be decontaminated and then destroyed because they're building 2 new ferro cement tanks that are up there now. The initial rationale for it from the water department was that it was seismically unstable. I don't think it is. I think you could hit it with a howitzer and it wouldn't move. But the steel was thinner at the bottom, higher at the top. I had seen in a footnote that there was a piece of concern that there might be lead in the tank on the slurry that they had used to coat the inside of it and the steel reinforcement that was in there. I've since confirmed that that's true. but it's no big deal. We've all been drinking leaded water. We're all a chemistry experiment at this point. But my issue is this, the situation has changed. I can understand getting rid of that thing once the two new ones are there. And they're gonna have automatic shutoffs, whatever the surge protectors, that makes sense, hooked into the crash and, shake thing, whatever the hell it is. But my issue is, I think that thing should be saved for firewood. It's 1 million gallons. We got the situation that happened down in Pacific Palisades. Two of the people that left Sudden Valley, right up where we live, went down to Pacific Palisades and they're toast. All they have is ash. And my feeling is that it could still be cleaned out, re-slurried, filled up with water. If there is an issue where they could put buttresses on it at the bottom so it doesn't blow out. But we need that at some point. Might not be this summer, might not be this decade, but it is 1 million gallons at altitude. And we could tap in, we could take an empty pumper up there and pull from it. Maybe we might not even be able to get something across the dam in the event of an emergency. We could have it up there and we could fight fire, and we need to have something to fight it with. The saddest thing I saw this week was some poor guy whose house was burning to the ground, no water, no power, apparently ran in and pulled it up his refrigerator, and he had 2 gallons of milk he was using to try the thing. It was pitiful. It was just tragic, and we can't have that happen. I'm going to talk on next Wednesday to the board meeting of the thing at 8 o'clock in the morning, the Lake Whatcom Water and Sewer Department.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm just going to go there and say, and I've already talked to the CEO guy there. I think that they could put a hydrant tree down below it so we can hook it out, at any time. Make sure everybody knows it's non-potable so you don't drink out of it. But in an emergency, like they did in Pacific Palisades, they could hook it into the water supply and use it for fire water and stuff until they have a chance to redo the whole thing. And in the process of watching everything down there, one of the things I learned, they had a lot of false alerts and people were going left and right and running into one another. And my God, we're alert, which way do I go? I learned, when we had last Labor Day 2021, we had a blow of 80 miles an hour coming from the east, just like the pulsing thing that took all these trees out. If we had that type of storm in a dry summer month and somebody lit a match, we would have been totally screwed. Found out that Labor Day night after we went to bed, and I have sprinklers on my house, that there had been a fire down at the Morning Beach. And somebody smelled smoke, told security, they got there barely in time and they had a 20-yard by 80-yard, burn. Didn't hear anything about it. And I was livid. I talked to the new chief of the fire department at the time. What would happen? How quickly could you get helicopters in here? End of the summer, couldn't do it. Where were they? All down south. They couldn't have touched us or helped us at all, which is why I want that tank. In the process, I also said, how do we get notified? Didn't hear a siren. I wanted a siren there over the fire department to notify, wake everybody up in the event of an emergency or something like that. And I finally realized that's never going to happen. Somebody won't have the switch or the key or something. They'll be in Cancun or everything. They have a new thing called Watch Duty. It's an app. I think you guys should all log on to it. Basically, it's an app that you can locate, where you are and what area you want to be notified for. And it's an aggregate of everything having to do with fire. And it's also vetted, so it goes through fire people. It cuts out bad information. And my time is up. Is that what that message is?
Yeah, that's Watch you.
Oh, you're watching. Good, exactly right. Everybody should have that. We should have everybody in here. So everybody be sleeping at their bed if it happens at 3 o'clock in the morning, and they can be notified without us having to flip a switch or punch a button, and we can get something going in that direction. So there's a lot of people who want to save this thing, and I really think we should save that tank. And there's a lot of stuff we can do with it. Kids could paint it. And, it's one thing to have the fire watch and clear out the brush, but if we see the tank, I liken it to people said, why should we save the wilderness? Nobody's going to use it anyway. And as Wallace Stegner said, the value of the wilderness is that it's there and you can think about it and it's in your head. The value of that tank is that it's there. So help us save the tank. Write a letter to the board of the Lake Whatcom Water and Sewer, get people to organize talking about it. That's all I have. So Watch Duty. And good luck to us all. Any questions or anything?
I have a question for you, Joe. What's the date you're gonna go see them in the morning?
Well, I think I saw their next meeting is Wednesday on the last, Wednesday at 8 a.m. I think on the last Wednesday of the month. I saw it. I haven't seen an agenda.
I'll look.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Where's this tank located?
Go up gate 2 or in Grandview Lane. And there's Swallow Court. It's kind of a one-way and stuff. Go to the second entrance, go up there. You'll see where they're building the 2 new ones. And they're ferro cement. Here's another issue I have. The reason that they're doing this is for seismic purposes. If you have a steel tank and it gets a crack, sure, the water may flow out, maybe it'll damage your house down below, but man, you slap some more plates on there, weld it together and you can fix the damn thing. They have one of these ferro cement tanks go, they crack, they chip, they bunch on one another. You're gonna have to rebuild the whole thing from scratch. And with roads out or anything else, how are you gonna get cement up there? How are you gonna get construction equipment? I think it behooves us to save the tank. Please push the issue.
Thanks, good, thanks, sir.
Anything else? We good? Good? All right. Good luck with us all.
Thank you, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you very much.
Well, now I gotta stay for the whole meeting.
I'm John Fetterman. I have to go back to the Commonwealth.
Thank you, John. Keep them alive. See you, Joe.
Is anybody online, Spencer?
Any additional comments?
We have a Robbie Johan, but I'm not sure if they're here to speak or to listen. Should I ask them then?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Hi there. Can you hear me okay?
We can, thank you.
My name's Robin. I am at 59 Grandview Lane. I am I wanted to hear some of the information about the Joe, I don't know Joe, but about the tank. We live 2 steps away from the tank, and we've been in constant contact with the engineers and our neighbors have as well. And Watcom Water and all of the people working on the project. The tank itself is not seismically safe, and we are keeping our fingers crossed until it's gone, so that if there is an earthquake, that we don't get caught in the crossfire, because we would be gone if something like that happens. So, I mean, it's something it's an idea, but it's definitely not one that would work for us or any of the people directly around the tank, because it's not seismically safe. And that's just my 2 cents. We can talk about it with the Watcom Water people and all of the neighbors around here. But I do agree that there should be plans for fire safety, all of that kind of stuff. But keeping a 1 million gallon tank full that's not seismically safe is not in the best interest. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you, Robin. Appreciate your time. Oh, Tom, you have a question?
Yeah, who determined it's not seismically safe?
I'm sorry?
Who determined it's not seismically safe?
The city of Bellingham, I believe, it's been ongoing for a couple of years. That's why they're building 2 new tanks, because this tank is not seismically safe, and to hold 1 million gallons. It was built in the 70s, I believe, and it holds 1 million gallons of water, and that's why they have to put it into 2 smaller cement tanks. It's all online. The whole all of the information about the tank and why they had to do it and why they had to get all the funding. It's FEMA funded, and all of that stuff is online with the city and Watcom Water, a variety of other people too.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you very much. Spencer, anyone else?
Not that I can see, no.
Okay. You? Okay, moving on. Item number 4, the approval of the meeting minutes for January 9th, 2025.
I would like to make a motion to have the board accept the draft minutes of the 1/9/2025 board meeting as submitted.
Second that, beat you to it. Do we have any questions, comments, corrections? You're all good? All in favor of approval of the meeting minutes?
Aye.
Oh, abstain.
Oh,
Yeah, that's like whether.
just Stewart's,
We have Stewart stating,
Yeah, I might need to,
Emery,
yeah, I wouldn't hear it either. It's okay.
so we have 3.
that's fine.
All right. Moving on to item number 5, we have our reports. Our first report will be the GM report by Michael.
Thank you, Mr. President, and there's actually another half to this, the storm update down at 7A. So actually, starting on page 5, though, I'll just give a quick update capital projects that are active, you can see there on page 5. We've got upcoming maintenance requests for February. Culvert vegetation, fast response, on engineering, pothole and minor road repairs. We're starting the planning for the signs and pavement markings, Area Z bridge replacement, the culvert 4 with the bridge, and design and permitting for the 26 project. Turf care capital requests you'll see coming up are equipment, first of all, fairway top dresser, of course you have a dump trailer on the agenda tonight. Golf course path improvements, golf course bathrooms, fixtures and paint. The turf care building renovation, that permitting is just about finished. And Lake Louise, the pump station upgrade. Greg reports that is substantially complete. We'll be able to close that out shortly. And then the turf care wash pad. Projects on hold, of course, you know, the Barney siding, structural renovations. The structural report is complete and the evaluation results that were presented in December are now supplemented with those additional items that the board had us have Tyler and PMW add, the flat roof, HVAC, of course, the covered bridge, the siding, and we'll discuss that a little later. The bulleted points, those for administration, turf care, maintenance, and county and recreation are all in your board packet. In the interest of time, I didn't want to take all of that up, but the board will stipulate to that. Of course, they're online, all members can download all of this and review it, and they'll be in review. So that is the GM report portion of it. I can touch on the storm damage a little later on in your agenda.
Okay, any questions, Rick?
I appreciate your listing out folks that you've had a chance to meet with. Is Christine both the librarian here and the executive?
No, that was an error here. I corrected it. She's the executive director.
Yeah.
So I apologize. The one on the left side's correct.
Okay.
I didn't want to reprint all your package again.
Yeah, Mike, on the recreation rental, the area Z spots. Yeah, it looks like you pretty much have got all those spots filled. Or that's where, isn't that where the RVs are being stored?
That's correct. I don't have the list in front of me. This I got from Kyle, of course.
Okay,
But I have had one call today from a tenant, you know, who thought that the increase was too much for him, and I tried to point out to him that 750 a year is still a pretty good bargain for an RV storage area.
it's got a new fence around it. But so we still have a waiting list, or we are full up? Like, we did have a 2-year waiting list for spots in there.
Yeah, I don't have the exact answer for you. I can find out for you, Ray. I don't want to shoot from the hip, but.
Yeah, I just want to know that we got it full, and we've got a wait list that's accurate. Kind of like the marina, we need to have accurate waiting lists. That really upsets folks like me when I'm on one of those waiting lists and I don't know what's going on. You want to be able to see it, where you're at, and if the person that thinks it's too high, and he moves on, there's a spot. So.
Super. Yeah, in the future, if you see something like this, that's why I put that board packet out a week ahead of time. Give me a call and I'll find out and I'll make sure I have the answer for you. Here at the board meeting, I don't have.
Oh, that's I understand. Well, you know, we do have a waiting list.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Okay, so.
I'm just trying to answer your question.
Right, no problem.
Yeah.
But we'll get it, sounds like we will have it full, and we have waivers.
Yeah,
Okay.
I have an RV I'd love to put in there. But I'm not a member.
We'll go Rick and Tom. Rick?
Yeah, so much like the marina wait list, do we have a deposit involved with that as well? That might help keep it more accurate if people have to put a little.
We currently do not.
might be something to think about to help address race concern.
I thought there was one proposed for the RVs. A fee, and it's $50 or something.
There is.
We saw it.
For the marina, for that, we didn't, I don't believe we included area Z in that
We did.
concept.
Okay.
That might
It
help.
never got all the way through the system, but there was a rough draft.
But it's certainly something I have noted on here and discuss.
Yeah, good.
Tom?
Yeah. In the email that went out to the community on Friday, something about the happenings, there was a fee schedule for the facilities. You know, the barn, how much it costs to rent this room and stuff. I believe there's an error in the picnic shelter. On deposit, damage deposits.
That was the only deal I could find. $20.
Or the rental without alcohol is a $500 damage deposit. With the alcohol, it's $250. I think it should be.
It's backwards.
Yes.
Tom, can you send me a quick reminder of
Yeah.
that?
Sure.
And I'll capture that and get it updated for you.
Okay, any other questions?
I have one, please, if I might.
Yep.
So under project, where did I go? Under capital project, it says for bridge design and permitting, it says design is underway and we expect to submit for the permit in December. Given that we are now in January, is there a new date on that they're gonna be looking at bringing something back to us this year now?
Yeah, I will find out for you then.
Okay, and it's the Area Z bridge, I assume, because there's two bridges out there that we're designing and permitting.
Yeah, the one bridge that Greg's concerned about, or Mike's concerned about is the one
Yeah,
right
that
by
area is
his
the-
office.
yeah.
He and Greg both, you can't get across the creek there with the heavy equipment.
Yeah.
They don't fall through the bridge.
It's been around, it is a challenge.
Any other questions? Okay, hearing none, we're gonna move on. That's gonna be really hard tonight because we're missing a few people. We're trying to do committee reports. We're not about committee updates, doesn't have to be really a report. I just wanted the committees to be, to keep in mind that every month we want to kind of get an update, or just see where the committees are. If nothing's happened, we'll state that, an upcoming meeting or if something interesting happened, you might want to mention that. What I also want to say to the committee chairs is what I'd like to do this year is I would like to get a list from the committee chairs of who is actually in their committee and their term links. So we have like any certain term links, ACC and so forth. So it'd be great to know when people were brought into the ACC, their 3-year term, 2-year term, you know, and stuff like that. It'd be good to have an updated list of that stuff. But that's enough for me. So we'll go on with any committee updates. We'll start with Ray. Okay, Ray.
Yeah, long range, planning committee, we're gonna have our first meeting this next Wednesday, the 29th at 6:30. We've got a lot on our agenda, should be a fun meeting. And I'm also gonna ask for another volunteer to get approved tonight,
Okay,
when my time comes.
excellent. Thank you, Ray. Appreciate that. Linda, do you have anything?
So right now, I'm not doing anything. I still need my member volunteer. I'm gonna reach out to the member that did it last year and see if she's interested in joining Tiny and I again. And take a look at things. I wanna go back. There are some policies from last year that we updated that we had to wait to have removed until the new ACC policies were published officially. And then there's also one that I need to work with Joel that has to do with providing the board and the general manager with current contracts.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Linda.
Yeah, city committee, we will be meeting next Thursday, 3:00. And we've got.
Did you say at 3:00?
Hmm.
Okay.
Here in this room. So we're excited to get the ball rolling, but nothing really to report at this point.
How do you hold your meetings? Is it just Zoom? Or,
Yeah, we'll be here in person with the zooming capability, I think, as I understand it.
yeah, I was just curious, so. All right, very good.
It
Well,
might be fun,
go ahead.
that whole thing that Joe brought up about that app. That would be something excellent. for
Yeah, no,
Safety
believe me, I was taking a lot of notes
to look at, seriously, excellent.
and also curious about that water tank and risks. With that.
Might you need Spencer to start your meeting or get a recording or?
My understanding is that Diane has set that up.
I
So
just
yes,
want to
yes,
make
and
sure
yes.
now that we, because from a timing point of view, we'll have to have Spencer come over. Get the laptop running and then when you're finished, you just shut it down.
Yeah, okay.
That
that's fine.
way he doesn't have to incur the overhead.
And I can make sure that's all set up and ready for when the time comes.
That's perfect.
And here I'll pass my iPhone down. That's that app.
Okay.
And I went ahead and put Sun Valley in. If there were active fires around here, you would see them on there. It's pretty good app. We lived and died by that in my last community in August.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look at it on that.
Yeah, if I zoom out on it. So it's gonna show you. Look at all the fires that are burning in Washington and Oregon and Northern California. You can zoom into each one of those and see their evacuation areas. Look at the West Coast. Still burning.
There's a
All
new
of
one.
that in Southern California. So it's a great app. So and it's free. So
Yeah,
watch use a good one.
Is it only fire?
Yes, it's only fire.
Okay, that's what it's saying.
Yeah, I bet though, if you had a seismic event or something like that.
Yeah,
You'd hear about it. All police officers and firemen that I know use this. It's the
it'd
standard.
just be excellent for the membership to know.
Yeah.
Get that information pushed out to them.
Yeah, man.
that would simplify a lot of things. Yeah. Cool.
All right. Moving on, we're gonna move on to item number 6, we have our financial report. Joel, tonight, we'll be November 2024.
And Bill, would you like me to share the screen? Sure. Okay, so. And I'll get out of your way here. You want to drive? Sorry.
Okay, so I'll be covering, obviously, this will be the November 2024 financial statements, and. Yeah, they're there, everything's showing up is fine, so this goes up. And would you click that, thank you. And so what you're looking at is the balance sheet. We always start off with the balance sheet. There's nothing really that has been added to this balance sheet in terms of new lines or anything like that, and so there's nothing really too remarkable to point out in terms of sort of balance swings or anything that's really standing out. So we might just go ahead and go to the brass tacks, so to speak, of the income statement. So what you're looking at here is obviously the organizational wide income statement. It includes all departments added together. Now, if I just get right down to the bottom line and point out the net income, which is this line right here. So that $451,613. So we've been operating net income of $451,613. Now, also keep in mind, remember last month in December when you guys, when the board went ahead and voted on to ratify that UDR request for $95,000 for the trees. So So since the UDR request of 95,000 was ratified in December, then December 12th, and at that exact same meeting, then it was deobligated, and we ended on the CERF. The CERF amount for 251,424, and the roads amount for 228,131, total 479,505 for the hazardous trees. So since that was done in December, I let November just take all of the hazardous trees, like, so nothing's been put to UDR or CERF or roads. So I'll do that once we get into the December financial statements. So. And let me just go ahead and. I'm gonna skip ahead real quick here for a moment. I'm just gonna go down into. The ACC security page is where the hazardous trees are. So you can see this line item right here. Where you can see in November hazardous trees, $99,004. And so keep in mind, that would, let's just say this thing was ratified in November, then conceivably 95,000 of that would have been 50 UDR. So since we held off for that, and we'll do that in December. The good thing is now you're seeing this all in one line, the 99,000 for November. And then if you're curious, how much your hazardous trees, which how much we spent on hazardous trees so far, basically it's about 330,000 for hazardous trees. And also, actually, as I was walking out the door, then Diane had some more invoices that she wanted to show me, which came out to about 27,100. So you have 330,000 so far, and then on top of that, another 27,100.
When you say hazard trees, you're actually referring to the cyclone bomb.
That's
or bomb cyclone.
Yeah. And I'm basically referring to everything hazardous tree costs that happened in November through about right now. Sure.
Thanks. I think except for me, where I'm signing checks, I really get concerned that before the bomb cyclone, I believe there was a budget this year of 50K, wasn't there?
Yeah, 55,000.
55,
Yeah.
and that was down from the year before.
Yeah.
But I think we need to be really careful that we're separating trees that were recognized beforehand
Yes.
on a list that were really truly hazard trees. I don't, it's really weird, I don't consider the bomb cyclone trees hazard trees that were identified and stuff as such.
Yeah.
I agree, that's why I wanted to clarify the name, because we're using hazard trees when we use that as normal terminology here. Do we really need to reference these as cyclone bomb or bomb cyclone trees or something a little different, saying hazard trees? Because the community is so used to hazard trees that every year it's a common occurrence, right?
Yeah.
You know, we just had.
They are hazard trees, extremely hazardous, I don't know what else to call them, but I get what we need.
Yeah, and also kind of like,
CV trees.
you know, like basically from storms, windstorms and stuff like this. Also, you know, like that's where all that stuff would go, hazardous trees, unless it was moved to UDR. But the bomb cyclone event, so meaning it would either go to this line item anyways, or.
Gotcha.
Of course, I understand what. I'm
Well, it's
saying.
operation because we agreed we'd take some of that where we had to take giant trees off roads, out of roads. And then all the cleanup,
Yeah,
which it's a one-time event, it's not like it's something we're gonna hopefully replicate,
we hope it's one time.
you know, yeah.
However, though, keep in mind, since about 2018, we spent about $1 million in
Yeah.
hazardous trees.
Yeah, but it's like, there was one just recently on Honeycomb, just the other two. Oh, I only saw one online, I've been. But it's like, you know, those, I guess you have to consider hazard trees, but there's a part of me that says, you know, is some of this that we're seeing now, even though we're months past that, is this from something that happened way, and I know you can't, nobody
Yeah.
can say that. But if I look at the one that I saw online, it was uprooted. It wasn't that it just fell and rotted or whatever, but it completely with roots intact and stuff. I'm just kind of like, I hope that Mike's keeping track of some of this so that what's capital and stuff that goes into some of this that's possibly, you know, deals with roads we do it, or, you know, we're gonna have to put it in hazard trees and then take from UDR.
Yeah, so I mean, it's basically, yeah.
Yeah, speaking of that same tree, I saw it too, that looked like a pretty healthy tree. So are there a bunch of trees around here that were damaged during the bomb cyclone? They're not gonna be
Yeah.
safe in the future.
Yes, that's exactly what happened. So a lot of trees that didn't fall down during the bomb cyclone got damaged, and some of them were even leaning, they're still leaning on trees right now. That are still the case, so some of those actually fell down after another wind came after the fact that they were ultimately damaged during the initial storm.
And of course, one of those things, cyclone or not, if it just would have been another good windstorm, you'd still see these costs, not quite as severe, obviously.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, this one came down yesterday.
Yeah. yeah, right.
So Joel, you have 330,000 year date plus the 27,000, so roughly 357,000 for cyclone trees. And we're gonna figure out whether these aftermath are part of cyclone or not,
Yeah,
but. My question, you probably get it at the top of your head, but what's roughly the budget for the snowplow? If we have snow, we have a budget for snowplows, it's some dollar amount.
let's look at that.
We're hoping for no snow in February, it might help us a little bit. I don't
Oh,
know.
you wanted it for this current 2025? What the budget
For
is?
2024, yeah.
Oh, 20.
Yeah.
2024.
No.
Oh, 2025.
Yeah, 2025.
Yeah, 2025 budget for snow plowing in the month of January.
Yeah,
I don't know how you. Got that broken down.
It's on the other computers, right?
Joel has this stuff in his head, most of the time.
I'll tell you exactly.
No, you'll have
Now
it.
that you mentioned snow, it'll probably snow for 2 weeks straight.
I'm praying for no snow, so we got some extra funds here.
I was actually enjoying this kind of dryness. Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, well, Joe, looking that up on page 5 of the GM report, this is, that table at the top is, Mike Brock and I's closest WAP on the bomb cyclone. So through December 31, we've identified 280,000.
So we're gonna, let's real quick, while Joel's doing his thing, we're gonna jump to 7A while Joel's looking up, and then we'll go ahead and discuss continuing business. 7A will be the storm update, and sure, we'll address all his trees and everything there. So let's do that real quick.
And by the way, so that's snow plowing, so
We do it all together.
We threw in 15,000 for snow plowing for 2025,
How much?
15,000.
For all of 2025 or in January?
Just for, but I mean, but a lot of it hits, you know, January.
Yeah, okay.
No, I thought it was more than that. Oh,
No, that's good.
All right.
But
Okay, now, well, we're done. Did you have more in your financial report than there?
yeah.
You wanna hold on to this? Yeah, you read that now since he's ready, we can just continue on with financial and then we'll jump to your trees. Okay, we'll stay in order. Go ahead, Joel.
It depends on the neighborhood of the ACC security page anyway, so I guess I'll just go ahead and point out. Here's the good one, is, so you see this new home construction fee, and obviously the line item, but also takes building extensions and stuff like that. So you see we're at, through November, 228,150. You know, the annual budget for that was 75,000, so we're better than budget by 153,000 through November, you know, so that really blunts some nice costs right there. And I'll quickly just run through these financial statements real fast, and that's it. So when I said that, so where I was going with that originally with the net income, when I said net income was 451,613. That's still shouldering that $100,000, you know, in ACC security. Now, last year, the net income, operating net income at the end of November was 466,000. So that's where I'm going at from the standpoint that we're actually kind of better off than last year when you factor in the fact that it's still shouldering those almost $100,000 worth of trees. Now, the collection rate in November, 97.9%, 97.7%. Keep in mind, we budgeted for a 95% collection rate in 2024, same thing for 2025. So I already know the year-to-date collection rate for all of 2024 at the end of December, it will be 97.95%. At the end of December 2023 is 97.93%. So we actually ticked up just a little bit higher than even last year in 2023. And if you're wondering, what does that really mean in the bottom line for operations? Well, then that means operations still again for the year, an additional almost approximately 79,000 more from what was done. And serve took in an additional close to 40,000 roads, 41,000 mailbox, obviously $740 for that one. So that's the good thing about having a higher collection rate than what we budgeted. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and skip that real quick. The dirt cap counts, I talked about this being several smooth blood on this. So basically this last line item, which is what we're looking at right here. And this encompasses everything, meaning all the dues that came in, including prior year dues that we're collecting and all of that stuff. Then we have the obligated expenses right here, which is all the things like reserve, close to 944,000. All the things still in the CERT that the board has approved that we have not yet cut checks on yet. So meaning if we close out all those projects and pay for everything, then we write checks for another 944,000. For roads, you can see it's 167,540. But so bottom line, net usable cash, this is after that $600,000 amount that we would basically board, it's called the board recommend carry, but we like not to fall below what you think that on there. After that 600,000, you have net usable cash at the end of 2024 of 1.7 million. Reserve 1.5 million for roads. That's in relation at the end of CERF of 2023 was 1.45 million, so it's up a little for CERF in 2024. Roads is 1.37 million, so at the end of 2024 will be 1.45 million. However, keep in mind that is taken into account because these are the November statements that those amounts that I already told you for certain roads that was approved by the board for the hazardous trees, that will drop those balances by this amount. And then really the only other one we're talking about, UDR available 256,137. You can see that 95,000 amount was not factored in here, so it was just done away with anyways in December. So at the end of last year it was 303,000. So that's what we have to work with for UDR. Now we'll go ahead. We'll skip over the current month statement. We'll go to the year-to-date statement. And what you're looking at here is you're looking at the income statement by department. So breaking down what departments contributes to that. There's that 451,613. And then you can see that, like, for example, ACC security right there. So that ACC security has an outrageous kind of hazardous tree expense in there. It's still positive by 68,000 because of that really good amount of building development fees and extension fees and stuff. And you have some things like, for example, common costs, working by a little over 100,000. That's obviously legal expenses that you're seeing there. That's basically really what's responsible for that.
The other actual, that high number there, the part of the
Which one?
under common costs is mostly legal.
That's right. Yeah. So this over budget 102,000. That's literally. But if you took out the over budget for legal, then that would basically go away. So I'll go ahead. So we'll, obviously, I was pointing out golf. So I've got golf highlighted right here. So you can see actual revenue for golf through November 2024, 1,393,000. At the end of so golf obviously has been a little down from last year, but it's not like outrageously down. Last year in November is 1,433,000 is what it was. So the revenues are down by about close to 40,000 over last year. Now, in terms of December, so like December 2024 golf numbers, golf revenue 1.4 million. Golf revenue at the end of December 2023 is 1,468,000. So for the year, the difference is stayed pretty close. It's about $43,674 less than over last year. But last year was your best year you've ever had. So that's really good. Now on the just to happen real fast. So there is one thing opening on the balance sheet. This prepaid golf. I don't know 2 lines, but it's the second one. The prepaid golf membership amount. But so you see it's $48,680. So that's the amount that Kevin, when people prepay like annual green fees and storage fees and golf cart rental fees. And when they prepay October, November, December 4th, 2025, after this gets captured, so you can see they've had close to $49,000 of prepaid golf revenue collected at the end of November 2024. Of course, now You can see this December 2023 numbers, that shows you how much it was total at the end of 2023 is $112,089. Now, I know for a fact that at the end of December of 2024, the prepaid amount was $112,300 change, so it's actually a couple of $100 more than last year's, which is a good sign.
I have a question with golf.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that these numbers for golf also include turf care.
Yes, that's correct. It's all answered.
So what did they spend an extra 50K on for the year? And it's just other actual expenses. Salaries are fine, it's just, that's kind of a chunk of change.
Well, the good thing, like, which really is a good thing about the statement set on. So like, if we just scroll down, let's just take a look.
I'm assuming most of it's something that has to do with turf care.
Okay, so obviously we were focusing on
Just the other expenses, just.
Okay, so like you can see equipment repair and maintenance right here, 22,000 or 23,000 over. So there's 23,000 in it right there. 13,000 for landscape. So far it's landscape and equipment.
Okay.
And that's the great thing about the statements online. If you go to the finance committee webpage, you can look at any month.
I just didn't have time, I was gone, or I would have done it, so I was looking at some of this stuff. But
We're actually, that statement was for, that last statement was for everyone else except for you.
just normally I go look, but it's like, oh no.
Yeah, let's finish up talking about golf. We'll read that. That's it. So I already talked about the revenue, total expenses, which is, and Linda's already talked about half of them. Not quite, but the actual other expenses benefits, actual other expenses 402, which is all other expenses except for payroll expenses. And payroll 731,000, those two added together, 1,133,139. Last year was 1,071,884. So and we expect the expenses to be higher, 16,255, just even payroll expenses alone go up because of the CBA collective bargaining agreement. But bottom line for golf is, as you can see, golf had $260,121 of net income, operating net income at the end of November 2024. At the end of November 2023, year to date was 361,034. So they're lower by about 101,000 close to that. But that's expected given the fact that their revenues are slightly lower and obviously their expenses will be. But like the marina, like I pointed out last few months, you'll see the other the revenue 248,110. The end of November 2023 was 188,699. So the marina revenues are up by 59,411. And the bottom line, their net income for marina, because of that, 234,678. Last year, November 2023, 177,370. So their net income is up by 57,308. So all of those differences really do a good job to add to that operating net income bottom line that I pointed out. But I think that pretty much covers. Go ahead, Linda.
I want to be kind enough to elaborate on something that doesn't often get elaborated on. If we look at the combined totals that are net income and profit for golf and the marina, we're close to $500,000, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
And you know what? That's $500,000 that all membership should know. They're not paying in their dues. That this is supporting, reducing their dues by that amount of money.
That's right.
And that's excellent.
Yeah.
It's something we frequently don't talk about and we should.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah, because basically every dollar over being flat goes to
Yep.
offset.
Yep.
Do you have any questions for Joel? All right. Thank you, Joel, appreciate your time. Okay, we'll move on to item number 7. I'm Michael, we're chomping at the bit to talk about this, so here we go. We're gonna have a storm update on the Bright Bomb Cyclone.
And, For Joel's time, I know you're working on year and close. Do you need, if the board doesn't need Joel, I would ask if you excuse him to go back to the office if you want. Sure. If you want to stay here, then listen, I'd love to have you.
Yeah, it's up to you. Whatever you'd like to do, sir.
Yeah.
Before we excuse you, we've got,
Your question time is over. No.
the Larson's.
Oh, Larson Grove.
Oh, yeah,
You
thank
can
you.
Speak to that, Joel.
Did I?
Larson Grove's audit letter, engagement letter.
Do you need to get back? If you do, we can jump down and go ahead and jump on this one.
Yeah, you wouldn't mind.
Okay, no, all right, guys, what we're gonna do, in the sense of time that we get Joel, moving along here, we're gonna go down to item number 8D. It's approval of the year ended 2024 audit engagement. You'll find it on page 34, the Larson Gross Assurance. 8D.
You have that note, you want that.
Oh, yeah, actually, I was, no, there's somebody typed it, I was pausing, I was thinking Keith was gonna read something.
Oh, yeah, I can read it. You want me to read it?
Sure, no, I can do it. So basically, what you have in your agenda package, you have the engagement letter for Larson Groves for the 2024 year-end audit. The bottom line with this is the fees stated in this estimated fees $37,500 for this now. So we have a $49,000 budget from the audit line item for the 2025 budget, what we have. So, and then that budget is going to pay for both the audit, tax, and the reserve study. And in 2025, we'll have to do a level 2 reserve study. We have to do that. We have to do that every third year. So now the last couple of years, we've had a level 3, the year before that, level 1, so now we're back to level 2. We did get a letter from Smart Property that had a fee stated of approximately $9,000 for that. So we've got $37,500 for the audit, we have about $9,000 for the we'll say $9,500 for the level 2.
Level 2 it is?
Yeah, it would be a level 2 in 2025. And now we're up to about $47,000. We have $49,000 budgeted. The one item that is not on here, the second item would be the tax return. Now on last year, the tax return, that breakout was $4,000 that they stated. So then we would be looking at being pretty close to the budget, maybe a couple thousand. Larson Gross sends out 2 engagement letters, one for the audit. Their tax engagement letter is not ready yet. But when that does become ready, then they'll send out for this as well.
All right, so the motion is move that the board of directors authorize the GM, the director of finance, to engage Larson Gross Assurance for the 2024 SBCA financial audit at a base cost of $37,500 for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2024.
Second.
Okay, so I'm making that motion, then Linda will be the second. Okay, questions, Tom? I had a question first.
Yeah,
Dan
I
first.
have a question about the proposal.
Yes, sir. And directed to Joel and Michael.
Yeah, on page 51 to 55. On the use of subcontractors, I am not comfortable with that at all. I'm not comfortable with them sharing our information with companies located outside the United States.
Now this, of course, I can tell you this for a fact that this is boilerplate language that they'll put every single.
Well, maybe so, but if we sign the contract, then
You're accepting it.
But this one. You know, like for example, if they have to do, like an evaluation or something like that on something, then it might have to be a subcontract. Now I can tell you. We don't really have something right now that we're going to like cause that sort of thing to happen, or we haven't had anything like that yet, but this is boilerplate language in English. Meaning, if we said, hey, can you get this thing out of here? If you had another auditor, like, well, let me see your indication, it's gonna have that in there as well, so. it's kind of like pushing a ball down the swimming pool, just pop up again.
And then it's just.
Tom, I would point out though, that they do have a clause right after that, that such recipients are bound by written obligation to confidentiality that are as protective of your confidential information as the confidentiality terms that Larson Gross is agreeing to. So they, they came back and said, if we do this, we're bound by the same confidentiality agreement for their firm. So
Yeah, I
thought I'd point that
understand, it's just not something that. I'm not comfortable with, I don't know what country to. Thinking of share or might possibly share with, in these days of hijackings and.
Yeah, thank you, Linda.
So. I always get upset with Larson and Gross.
What's that? I'm sorry.
I always get upset with Larson and Gross.
Obsessed?
Upset.
Upset, okay.
We receive our audits so late in the year. They never state in their letter when they will send them to us. In theory, they're supposed to be done by August. We have always done the extension. We have always waited until like the last board meeting, and sometimes it's rolled into the new board for the year because we don't receive reporting until November. And to me, that's not acceptable, and I don't know why. Considering that we get the reserve specialists information in time to send out our voting packets in September, you have that information. I would assume you're gonna have stuff closed out in November, because we're always that far behind. So it's like, why do we wait so very, very long and sometimes call special meetings? And why do none of their engagement letters have some sort of time is of the essence here with a date of when they will provide us with the audit?
Well, I don't believe we've ever had a special meeting for that, for an audit, at least not since I've been, we've
Not in August, I'm saying when we've gone so far into December that we need the 990, you can't do the 990 till the board looks at the audit.
Well, the 990 is due November 15th. That's the
Mhm.
last day of the 990. So literally like from a practical sense, like the audit would be done obviously before the 990. It doesn't like have to totally be done, but it's close to that as possible for it to be finished. But in terms of I mean, we can always push them to try to get the field work done sooner.
I would love to see them try and do that, they know us. It's like, how many years have they done our taxes? Have they done our audits? And I would hope that they've done it long enough that somehow we have a place in there that's not always assumed. Hey, I can just do this and I can do something else in the meantime. And yet, I wouldn't care, but they never, it's like there's never an effort made to submit our audits when they should be, like in August. We always take that extension.
What do you mean by extension?
If I'm
We
not
need
wrong,
an extension for the tax year.
yes, yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
And so it would be nice to see something between then and November when we go up to the very, when we go up to the very, kind of like the deadline of somebody's gotta sign this and it's gotta get sent out the next day. It would just be nice to see them at least do our audit in October.
Yeah,
You mean to have the audit presented?
Yes,
It's not
yes.
what we did this past year. And presented,
that was October 14th.
yeah, what it was, yeah.
That's,
So we can certainly push that, and we will. To complete this earlier.
it's nice to see it done so that the board gets a chance to look at it, but sometimes we've gone right up against that, that window of. It's gotta be at this meeting because the next meeting is gonna be a brand new board of directors. That's all.
Thank you, noted. And
Thank you, that's all, I got, that's what I'd like to see in their letter. That we never paid.
Right.
So to follow up on Tom's concerns, what privileged information I mean, I understand we want to keep as much information private as we can regarding our association, but how much risk does that put us into really with some controls built into place? Them and control of numbers, and if they use a sub, even with that assurance, even if something were to go awry, how much risk is that really? That's like.
I mean, I can only comment on what I know, you know, when they do an audit, they don't take a data dump of every homeowner in their credit line. Right, they take samples of data,
Right.
like, you know, 3 or 4 representative samples, but. You know, if you're concerned about it, we can ask them what this entails, but I've seen this, it is more than playing.
No, I'm comfortable with the language that's there. I'm just trying
I
to
agree.
determine what level of risk there really is.
Sure.
There's something to cover themselves.
Yeah.
It is really.
Tom.
Yeah, I'm just really uncomfortable with the last sentence and that use of subcontractors, because it kind of tells us exactly what they can do. They can move all their data and storage outside of their technology infrastructure. That's everything.
Well, I mean, of course, like I said, even if we went to any other auditor said, we don't like this language, can you give us your engagement letter? That's gonna show it as well. Meaning it's like one of those legalese things that you're going to see in contracts or whatever.
Yeah, if this is a concern to the board, I would recommend you take it to your attorney, to the corporate counsel. And have him negotiate with them to change the contract. Because I'm not an expert in this, Tom, and I don't think anybody in the room is.
All right.
So I can't, in good conscience, weigh in and give you an opinion.
I'm not worried about whatever we're still worried about, we're gonna lose.
That's really kind
I
of,
mean.
I mean, like,
the level of risk, what is it really?
Well, you can always fall back on your cybercrime and your directors and officers coverage, but if this is a concern to the board, let me
It's not,
know, and
thank you.
we'll address it for you. But
Good. Okay, do we have any other conversation? Questions? Okay, hearing none. I'm gonna read the motion again, just so we're clear. Move the board of directors. Yes, sir. You have another question?
well, while you're reading that motion, you also work into the motion to give Michael the authority to sign the engagement letter.
Yeah, it's in here. Authorize the GM director of finance to engage.
you know what?
So you're both on there. But Rick, you have another-
No, I'm good. No, I'm good.
We do have somebody who wasn't able to make it to the question part at the beginning. Will they be able to say something or?
Not right this second, but yeah. But
We're
Rick,
gonna wait till the end of the meeting.
Rick, you had a question?
So the engagement letter,
No, I'm kidding. I probably have to.
the engagement letters between the accounting firm and the board, right? The board owns the report. Joel is our.
Joel is our representative.
Yes.
Yes, that's right. They present the report to you, right, the board.
Right. So I guess. I don't have a problem, I'm just trying to understand with the line of authority. I'm perfectly comfortable with Joel being the signee on that, but it seems like if it's coming to the board. Responsibility to report to the board. Maybe the board president should be signed.
Yeah, that's fine.
I don't know. I don't know what the normal protocol is.
Actually, the only reason that I was Michael or myself signing was just to make it easier on you guys.
Well, that's fine, no, I'm just, you know, it's all new to me.
But like Keith, you know, wants to be, it's like, man,
Mr. President, and Rick, there's 2 levels of approval here. One is on the approval of the question, I know going to be signed by the president. The last paragraph on page 54 says, please sign and return a copy of all pages, whether to indicate your acknowledgement of an agreement with the arrangements of the audit. So this is the engagement, not the results of the audit. That, of course, comes back to the board.
Yeah.
Along with any management letters or exceptions that they find in the audit, so. That's how I read that. If you want that changed, though.
No,
It's just to get it going.
Yeah,
It's just to get it in the.
it's the engagement, yeah.
How does the board feel about the signatures? Any issue on the signatures, if having Joel or the gentleman engaged? Okay.
Fine.
Alright, so I'm gonna go back to read the motion, just so we put on the motion. So move that the board of directors authorize the GM and director of finance to engage Washington Gross Insurance for the 2024 SPCA financial audit at a base cost of $37,500 for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2024.
Second,
Yeah, by me, second by Linda, all in favor of the motion?
I'm gonna abstain.
Yeah, okay. And Thomas,
Then did you know the roll call?
yes,
Okay.
all right, thank you with that, okay.
Now we'll go back and close the year.
So that was 8B. All right, Joel, thank you very much. We have no other further questions for Joel. Thank you for your time, sir, and we'll let you get out here and back to work if you want.
Thank you.
Yes, sir, thank you. All right, now we're gonna move back up to item 7, continuing business. We're gonna start with our storm update, bomb cyclone. Did we already get that one? I didn't check it off, so that's where we stopped at.
Yeah, well, it's fairly brief, Mr. President, page 5, the table at the top. What I wanted to draw your attention to was the number that, the updated number that Joel was able to give was with the trees that I'm pointing out today. We are looking at approximately 350,000. But this was Mike Brock's calculation, see the 2024 number through December 31st of about 280,000. Now, the 2025 year to date was as of 2 weeks ago. So since then, we've added the additional that Joe referred to in there, and of course, the 3% on honeycomb. But these, Linda, are segregated as to the bomb cyclone only.
thank you.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and that's why I asked Mike to make that comparison, but he compared 22 and 23 to normal years. So obviously you can see the effect on the bomb cyclone,
Yeah.
you know, more than help. So, that was really the update I wanted to give you, and the encouraging part for Joe and I was that all in, we were looking, you know, less than the 475,000 that the board authorized at the December 12th meeting for a possible special assessment, right?
They're saying that the special assessment should be less now, hopefully.
Less sort get made and be able to be reduced dramatically, right? Depends what the board, you know, you're spending, you know, it's nice to have a little bit of a rainy day fund, especially if we still have trees falling down for no reason. The one on Honeycomb, I mean, other than the fact that it was next to that ditch, there wasn't a whisper of wind that night. So it just came down, right?
I wanted to make a note, from what I can tell in the money that we approved for the bomb cyclone. This is only the trees. We had there's surface in there yet, that's just for cleanup that I don't believe is reflected in these numbers.
Yeah,
Correct.
this is clean up and
That's.
Oh, it's cleanup and the trees?
yeah,
Cause see, I'm not seeing value, see, I'm not seeing any cleanup listed in any of these items, I'm just seeing tree requests resolved, evaluated, removed, pending high risk trees, I don't see anything about any of that removal of all of the roadside stuff that we took out of search for. That's what I'm saying, I think it's a low number.
You mean for rolls, right? Yeah.
Yep.
No, that dollar number that we gave you, the 330 plus 27,000, that includes all.
All of Rawls, even for their cleanup,
Yeah.
okay,
now it doesn't include, we didn't pull out Mike's team's labor.
No,
Right.
that just works its way to, you know,
Yeah.
into the payroll costs.
okay, it's just not mentioned here, and that's why I had a question that wasn't all we had spent.
Good question. Any other questions? Rick, you have a question?
Yeah, so just in terms of looking ahead and planning, trying to manage our hazardous tree numbers, in the budget. Is it possible to have a subheading under, for this year, to have the hazardous tree broken out? Maybe having a total and then a sub line underneath that just reflects that cyclone cost. Just that, I think it would help to be able to separate out kind of the routine source of hazardous tree from the adverse weather event that occurred in terms of ongoing planning, so, you know.
Well, that's what the chart does appear, it actually separates it out, so this is just cyclone trees up here on page 5 of 55.
Well, in 2022, we didn't have a cyclone.
Well, it actually, it's gonna get naturally separated out in ways because of the certain roads approved amounts, so. You'll see for December, so I built some geo line items, you know, hazardous trees, serve hazardous tree roads, and that's only for this bomb site situation.
Okay.
So it's
But it is confusing, you're right.
Now, Joel, could we just take a look at, January through, when did the bomb cyclone hit, November? So, you know, January through, October, see what your number was, that would be your normal operating budget tree removal. And then November, December, January is gonna give you the bomb cyclone, and that's where Mike's numbers came from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because actually that, like I said, that 330 plus the 27,000, that's all with November, December, you know, what we have for in January. And keep in mind November, that includes all of November, so if anything, you could go kind of the other way a little, you know, there'll be some costs there that are for the bumps.
Right, while you were starting to do street sweeps and all that, right about that time.
But the good thing is like the surf, and the roads geo codes that we created to accommodate that.
Yeah, that's true,
And I'll actually move a lot of this November stuff into certain roads, for December.
So I think it's important what we're trying to make clear is to the community, if we're gonna be asking for a special assessment to cover the cyclone bomb, we really want to detail it, and you know, this is just for that only, it's not for any additional things, or, you know. That way they're clear on it, that's all, I think that's gonna be very important to everyone.
Yeah.
All right, very good.
Ray had his hand.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ray.
So the homeowners have insurance, and if a tree falls on their property, they got some insurance. Is there insurance that we carry or available to get insurance for Sudden Valley property and trees fall on it?
If it damages property, yes, but the trees falling across the road are not insurable.
They're not
Not
insured.
insurable loss, yeah.
Yeah, the only real damage we had to property was that fence by the Welcome Center,
Yeah.
and the decision was made to take it out anyways.
On the fence by Church too.
Yeah. Yeah, that one, again, not so far below the deductible.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a great question, you know, wind related is always covered, if it damages something. Falls on a building, crushes one of our work trucks, those type of things, but one that the common area tree just falls over, it's not an insurable loss.
Well, it's major damage, because where the roots come out, it's all kinds of damage.
I'll bet you that Lloyd's of London or one of those would insure it.
Yeah.
It's gonna cost-
Okay, so it's all out of pocket unless it's damaging some real estate or a fence,
Yeah,
Property.
property damage.
property damage.
It's property casualty policy. So unless it falls over and kills somebody, then that's a liability policy.
Then we would be covered.
Yes, it has to be a liability claim. Yeah.
Okay. Well, good glad that didn't happen.
I know, but like, look at the condo next to the market. How did that not kill anybody? Yeah, wow.
I talked to a gal who lived there on the 3rd floor. She said, I usually sit right here. And I just went to bed and boom, went down. It was close.
That is a miracle. Wow.
Scary.
Thank you, Joel.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to item 7 meeting, it's the barn update and discussion. So on this, we don't want to get into hours of discussion tonight on barn aid. We have an update on it. What I really want the board to do is kind of get into the report again. I discussed the report, read this report that came, or the new dollars here associated with everything. Just get really familiar with this situation because it is a serious situation. Michael will go over the cost and everything, the newer costs that we have. There's still a couple items, we're not sure if they're included in there, one was like insulation, I think you were gonna try to find out if that was still included, it might not be. And that's a minimal expense in comparison, you know, for everything that we're doing. But we just wanna really get a true number and then make it, you know, the best decision we can for the community, and it's gonna take some effort on our part, guys, because this is a heavy number to look at. And then we have a new wrench that's being thrown into the works is, the critical area on the creeks, right? They're increasing the buffer down to 200 feet from 150. So what you'll find in this, and Michael will go through it, but in the back of this thing, you're gonna see where we added, actually it's a Linda had an idea for this too. So when you're happy, it shows where the creek line is.
Yep.
And that's very critical because it's gonna help us, I think, make a decision. It's not ideal that we have this thrown into the wrench now on top of everything, you know, but it is there. So let Michael do his report, and then if we have questions after that, we'll try to keep it brief and simple. And any other longer questions you have, please email them in and we'll try to get them answered for you. So go ahead, Michael, sorry.
Certainly, no, so for those online who, and here, starting on page 18, really is where we pick it up. The 2.9 million with the 20% contingency is the number that PMW, Tyler and so forth presented at the December meeting. And you may recall then following that we still had some outstanding items that we needed caution on. And so that begins on page 18 in that priority group 4, additional items not included in the structural evaluation. And those items are, the big items are the HVAC, the ERV systems, electrical supply, replacing the flat roof, the new entry design, exterior doors, exterior windows, covered bridge replacement, the sidewalls, the ADA ramp, that again for the covered bridge. Now you'll note the siding is already in there, and that was one of the question that Keith and I raised, and I did reach out to BMW. And the Tyvek is included, the wrap is included in the siding price. Tyler said that when they did the destructive testing, there was insulation behind all of that.
Oh, I'm sure there is.
Yeah,
So
so,
it's gonna have to be replaced.
right, he was, and he agreed with our number of $25,000 to $30,000 if needed.
Okay.
Right, so if you go to page 19, and then you're looking at those additional numbers with a 10% contingency there. And that's half of the contingency of the structure, because these are more known quantities. Right, the estimators can, so anyway, they're looking at an additional 882,000, that brings the combined project estimate to almost 3.8 million. And so that is, that's, I believe, as close as we can get at this point before we actually decide to pull the pin on bidding. So the pages though that they keep referred to were the buffer zone, right?
Yeah.
And so on page 20 and 21, PMW provided 150-foot buffer line, so you can see where they go through the buildings. Now, Keith and I went ahead and we developed the one on page 21, which is the 200-foot plan view. And you can see it goes right through the middle of the building and right through the middle of the swimming pool. So, you know, that is definitely going to be a factor if we don't get planning in place and try to, what are we looking at? You know, moving the building completely out of that area, and that was a couple of I think the long range planning committee, Ray, is really going to want to weigh in on this, because there's a couple of areas we looked at. I mean, parking is a long ways from the pool right now.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of considerations. There is real estate there, flat area, but you know, a lot of that outside the buffer is pretty steep. We're not going to be doing that there.
So what are the
Sure.
What are the ramifications of the buffer? So can we remodel the buildings? Can we not
Yes,
tear
so
them down?
the way it is currently, no, you can't,
So I
so.
apologize, I'm just.
That's all right, no, it's okay, it's something I wanted to talk about, and the buffer zone is something that just got thrown in here, so the buffer zone hasn't been adopted yet, right, it's been proposed.
Okay.
They're ready to send it up, the county doesn't know how, this could be 6 months, it could be a year, it could be 2 years before it gets adopted, we really don't know. I'm under the inclination they're probably gonna adopt it sooner than later. Just because there's been such a push and they've been behind on ADUs and everything else where, you know, the city's been up on it, the county's been behind on everything. So I think the county's gonna step up and try to do this quicker. Which is a concern because not so much the barn 8 or this barn, this is already here. My concern was, I was concerned about barn 6, and my talk with Michael, that we will not be grandfathered in this thing. So if we say, well, we're just gonna put all our efforts on barn 8 and we'll worry about barn 6 a couple years from now. We may not even have an option to do barn 6 a couple years from now.
Right.
And we're limited on space to move it. You know, there's not a lot of room to move it because of the incline, you leave the library and everything, you know, you go uphill dramatically, so, you know. There's some concerns, so.
Rewind to, I think it was a community member's suggestion a while ago, was actually move barn 6 to the other side of the parking lot. That way it could become something like a wedding venue or something like that. We have a beautiful view of the lake and the golf course and stuff like that. So I don't know if that's something that we would want to eventually evaluate, but it could be moved to the other side of the parking lot.
It could be, yeah, I think there's enough room, you know, hasn't been looked at, I did meet, so I met a company out here, a mill building company out here last year, right? And we did walk out there, we walked and looked at everything over there, and that was one of the things I talked about, moving the building and all that, and of course, they don't care, they'll have to put the building wherever. But in this building here, we do have to tear the slab up and everything else, so we are tearing it down to earth, right?
Right.
At that point, so we could make the decision to either make it smaller, right, make a footprint smaller on that building, I don't know if we want it to be as big as it is now, or move it. And I'm not opposed to that idea, I think it's great, especially depending on our future, or our vision for that. Because it will be a sprinkler building and things like that, so you could hold weddings, wedding receptions and things upstairs, so if there is an upstairs, you would have that with a nice view of the lake, the golf course, and so it could be a great venue. A rentable venue, I believe. But that's a big discussion, right?
Yeah, it's a big discussion.
So the original discussion, I didn't want to get long onto this because we got a timeline, but originally, so we were about 3 million for this, it was a worn shell. This is for barn 6, not here, barn 6, it was roughly about $3 million for a worn shell, it looks like a barn, and had a roll up doors, it was almost the same footprint size.
Kind of an outdoor.
Exactly,
But
so it could be open for a farmer's market or a craft fair, it could roll the doors down, it's raining and snowing, and you can still hold a church service or whatever, but anyway, so there's some, we really gotta figure this out, what we wanna do. And how much space we need, so that's why I was hoping long range planning committee could be involved in this, but we're also on a timeline, a time crunch.
We're on meeting next Wednesday.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I was texting you guys, you guys here, and you were going, you were going.
So that's all
So
right.
it's on the agenda.
It is.
A lot of discussion on this, right? There's gonna be a lot, and unfortunately, the buffer zone kind of threw a little extra wrench into it, but go ahead, Stuart, again. and then
Sorry,
we'll go.
So one other question, so.
Yes,
A buffer zone, when it comes to residential housing, is really kind of, it's a silly thing, because they say you have a wetland and you're in the buffer zone of the wetland. Well, you can buy a piece of property and go
Yeah,
buy it
mitigate.
somewhere else and you can mitigate.
yes.
Is there that option here?
As far as I know right now, no, there's no option to mitigate within that buffer zone, within this critical area, they're calling it a critical
You'd have
area.
to go plant some trees somewhere.
Or like we're doing tonight, when or not tonight, but we'll come up where we're taking a lot of mitigation.
Okay.
I think it's partly because they're fish carrying too.
Fish very makes a big
You know, and
difference.
it's, you know, it's a really nice little creek. And it's just, you know, I get why they're doing it, but.
So are you saying that there's probably no opportunities to get a variance?
There is not right now, according to the county, no, that what he told me is whenever we submit, will be whatever is best at that time, whatever their policy, their code is, we'll have to abide by that.
Would we submit or would we?
When we submit, so someone being in development before, right, so sometimes I've had to rush a project where you know you're not ready to. It's not ready to go and you're gonna get plant check comments, you submit it anyways.
Yeah.
You get it in, and that way you're.
Beat-
You got to get that
Beat the
date.
bear.
You're in, and you're gonna get contract comments, but you know that it's gonna happen, but at least you're in, you beat the date, and you can make things happen. So that is a possibility, but we really need to get together and everyone needs to like understand what we're doing and how we're doing it and why we're doing it, so it's transparent. Go ahead.
So the buffer, so currently, is it a 150 buffer or 100?
150.
It's a 150. I understood in the discussions last year that if we rebuilt on the same footprint on barn 6, I mean. That we were allowed to have that one corner that's inside
Correct.
the buffer zone because we aren't changing the footprint.
Correct,
Is that right?
that is correct, currently, that's what they said.
That's if you don't do anything with foundation. If you don't do anything.
Well, just say
If
foot,
you leave the same footprint. so
it's
if
the same area, 100 by 100.
Expanded or contracted.
Yes, yeah.
Or you can contract it.
200 foot, you hit them.
Yeah, the 200 foot
Sent right into
into
the
disaster, yeah.
Pretty much wiped us out.
So, the other question, within the buffer, the playground is okay?
Yeah, because it's already, we're not.
Yeah, it's already there.
So what about, if we were to shift the building one way or the other, should we put parking inside of that?
Well, that's so good question, because the big thing, and I agree with Michael, like, you know, to start parking for the pool, everyone has to park on the other side of barn 6 and they treads all the way over there with everything. I don't know why, like that grass area that now where we do the Christmas tree lighting, that's perfectly flat, it could be parking. I don't know, I'm not sure, to be honest with you, I haven't researched it, so I wouldn't wanna say, I don't know that it could be parking, I don't know why it could be.
So that's another part of, trying to figure out.
Yes.
For long-range planning for us to.
Well, that's why, so to me, we really need to get a consultant, but we've had a lot already, so I don't wanna reinvent the wheel. We've already had this whole area been researched extensively, right?
I totally agree, I think,
We don't wanna go spend the money again, we gotta be able to find someone that's already done it, they got everything already in their data, parameters in a notebook, in a computer, and we can find them and they can help us lay this thing out.
yeah.
I think fairly quickly, to be honest with you, it's not a big deal to lay it out. There's a new vision for that area.
Mhm.
And then hopefully, I'm glad the dollar amount came in lower than I anticipated for this barn. At that point, I mean, I can't picture tearing this down, rebuilding it for 3.8, that would be impossible, I would think. So I think this barn is probably fixable, it seems like it at this point. We need to get more into it, which is, I think, a good thing, but.
So, if we do all that work, it still doesn't have fire suppression.
Here it would not, correct, and now we're back here, correct, here it does not have fire suppression.
So are you talking about the 3.8 for barn 6?
3.8 for barn 8.
For barn 8, that's
This
what,
barn.
that's what I thought these
Yeah.
numbers were applying to barn 8. Yeah, so I think one of the things we're gonna have to wrestle with is, okay, we put 3.8 into that barn. We can't rent it out for weddings that are gonna serve alcohol because we don't have the fire.
Not in this.
Correct, yeah, that's
In the new
correct.
barn, correct,
That's what I'm saying, so,
yes.
I mean, how much more is it to? Theoretically, build on the same footprint on barn 6, a couple story building. That barn's pretty high already.
It is, so what I did now, we went the same height as the barn now, so it does lend itself to be a 2-story. If that barn could have a mezzanine in there, it would be a 2-story, but it doesn't, it's just open.
Yeah,
Which is kind of a waste, like this barn, so we do sign the checks, you see the dang heating and lighting bills, it's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got a barn, you're heating the whole.
they're heating a barn.
It's pricey, it's amazing how much.
And there really is insulation in the walls.
Yeah, it's amazing how much it costs, but go ahead. Eric.
So, yeah, I mean, just theoretically, what if we build? A closed in building on barn 6?
Mhm.
And. That would have all the fire suppression in it, we could rent it out for weddings and events and all that kind of stuff, it's gonna still even from there, have a view of the lake and the golf course.
Yes.
From upstairs. Maybe even have room for, a concession area, or the cafe or whatever,
Yeah.
it would be very versatile, I think.
Well, it'd be an open slate, a clean slate, right? So you could design it how you want it. If you wanted the concession area or the gym moved over there, whatever, you know, you want.
Exactly, and so, and there has been some requests, I think, for additional workout areas. To what we have, and then after that is in place and operational, the other thing is, if we do all the work on barn 8, we can't use barn 8.
We cannot.
It's like barn body.
Well, we have, like I said, that's why I mean. We have.
Year and a half to 2 years, and so it seems to me building in an empty building that we're not using, other than store a bunch of documents in a couple of containers.
Yeah.
That allows us to continue to have operational use of that current building, and then reassess what ongoing needs are. For barn 8, do we maybe restore part of it and tear part of it down, or I don't know, but I just think that we have more flexibility. We don't lose operational use if we consider about building out 6 instead of 8.
I agree. It's gonna be a big decision, and it's gonna be a lot of conversation, and maybe we need to even have a special meeting, for it, and get, I mean, that might be what it's required, but.
Yeah.
At least it's a good start tonight. We have a lot of information and a lot of good conversation. I appreciate that, and I'm in agreement. For me, it's like, could be a toss up, you get more benefit, I think, out of the barn 6 way to go, but. Other people might have different ideas, so it's good to hear different opinions, but. It's a lot of, a big decision we're gonna have to be making coming up, but we need to get moving on it, especially now with this critical area deal. Thrown in there, I think it's very important.
Well, there's some of this work with barn 8 that really isn't. It is barn 8 that it isn't, it's that flat roof,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the HVAC that's up there.
Yeah, well, it's all one project though.
Oh, I know, but I'm saying, is this something you look at and say, if we are going to preserve this building? To at least do some of this, you can't tell me, so right now I'm sitting in this room and I'm looking at a number of $3,788,000. So if I put that off for 2 years, cause we're looking at barn 6 over there, what does that turn this $4 million number into? 6 million?
Could be less too, we don't know. But
But that's why I'm saying, there's some of these components with the remodel. That it's like, the question is, do you take that on, cause it's something that you're gonna say, it's really not barn 8, it's just that lower part of it there. That's all I'm asking you.
I think the way you would look
That's
at it, and again, it gets into big conversations, because when you start looking at it, you look at an envelope in a whole, like, so you look at the building as a whole. So to me, the roof's gonna be part of this building, the siding's part of it, the roof, all right, you wanna make everything an envelope, so you're not just gonna nitpick one area over here and redo the roof over here, but leave that part over there just to leak and stuff. You want the whole thing to be a uniform project. It is gonna be difficult, it's not gonna be an easy project, either way we go, but barn 8 is gonna be an interesting beast, and the way I would do it is we prioritize the fixes before, like did a 1, 2, and a 3, which were the first critical ones. What the engineer thought, this is most critical, we need to do these first. So if we decided to go that route, we'd really have to go in there and say, all right, let's do prioritize, we're gonna do 1, and then what does that entail? Like, does it mean the church is out here for 3 months? Does it mean the gym is out here for 3 months? I mean, we really don't know those things yet, because we haven't been able to delve that far into it, so there's a lot we have to find out. Okay, all right, moving on. 7C, Finance Committee, volunteer member appointments, Linda.
So I'm making these volunteer member appointments on behalf of Director Van Folder. She's brought forward Rick Gray, Mary Quinn, Rob Gibbs, Kathy Hallett. All of these have been vetted, and she'd like to have them approved as members of the Finance Committee.
I thought we approved Kathy Hallett already, or maybe she didn't have her.
She didn't have her
She wasn't
vetted yet.
added, okay. And Rob Gibbs. Anybody have any issues with appointing these people to finance? All in favor? Okay. It is so. Rick Gray, Mary Quinn, Kathy Hallett, and Rob Gibbs. They're now on the finance committee. Perfect. Thank you, Linda. Okay, moving on to item 8, we have new business. 8A is Department of Natural
Oh, we're
Resources.
still on the 7C. You got long range planning. We need to
Oh, I'm
get it.
sorry. I
We'll
wrote
go
down-
Today's got.
Yeah,
Hold on, Ray.
yeah,
7C, you're on this one, I'm sorry. Long range planning, I missed.
thanks,
it.
Michael got me in, second time around on the agenda, so thank you. Yeah, Elizabeth Uthard, she is vetted, and it's for volunteer for the long range planning committee.
Elizabeth, what's your last name?
Huthard,
Uthard,
Huthert.
she's
Okay,
been
you
here
got
for
it.
28 years,
Yep,
great lady.
she does.
So any issues with, Elizabeth?
Yeah.
Joining long range planning? All right, all in favor? All right, very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. Sorry, I didn't have that on this one. I don't know, our PVC down in my vote.
Which is weird, because it says finance and. We don't get, I get checked.
Okay, moving on to 8, new business, Department of Natural Resources, the DNR lease renewal for the wet areas for the joint aquatic resources permit application, Michael.
Yeah, Mr. President, I put this on here because, of course, you've been reviewing this lease since 1993 anyway. It got put on hold back in with COVID and, the lease renewal ran 21 through 24. It's time to renew it, I was contacted by DNR. And so what it really boils down to, as you can see on page 23, this is the possible lease options. And the reason we put it on here again was for transparency, give everybody the 411 on what happens if you want to make these swimming beaches private. Because what occurs is your lease goes from 2,500 a year to 26,000 a year. So, and that's all because of WAC, Washington Administrative Code 332, which says that DNR will waive those rents for the Marina Swim Beach, the PM and AM Beach, as long as they are open to the public. Well, that is the main reason I put this on the agenda. I've already started the paperwork. It's almost 20 pages of an application, but it's okay. But I did want the board to weigh in on this, in case you have members who are saying, well, wait a minute, we want to privatize the beaches.
We can ask them if they want to pay for
Right.
That's true, right?
So it's called a DARPA, as you can see. And this renewal will set up another 4-year lease term. And they base it on the square footage of the space. And of course, the marina and there's a couple areas that are in the lease right now. You can see the 2 areas, the dredge channel and the fill area. So that in a nutshell, and the request is, again, the background, since 1993, Sun Valley has applied for and been granted permits to construct and operate the marina facilities and the swim beaches, which utilize Lake Wacom, water resource controlled by Washington State, developed by Army Corps of Engineers and the Department of Natural Resources. The renewal process and lease rate cost adjustments for the current permit expire this month. So in the past, you renewed it based upon the assumption the marina area is private facility, not open to the public, and that the swimming beaches were open to the public. And so you can see here that DNR is open to discussing the rent fee reductions as long as the spirit and the provisions of Washington Administrative Code 332-30-131 are met. And this includes appropriate and meaningful public use access signage. Meaning that if there are private property or private access signs out there, we should remove them, and we don't have, there's nothing out there. So I think we're in good shape. Ross Zimmerman is the contact I'm working with, and he said, we'll pretty much understand this, so.
So, a couple questions. What about North Beach and Silver? They're not listed.
They're not part of this lease.
Yeah, did you see,
So
you
those two
can
beaches.
look at this survey we've done, yeah, if those are to be added, we need to.
Well, I mean,
I guess the question is, are they?
are they considered private beaches then?
Good question, I can find out.
Well, I wonder if we don't.
Yeah.
He wants to answer.
I'm here now. Let's, you know what I would say, let's go ahead and get this turned in and renewed.
So, yeah, so another question I had was, so if we go along as we have, and I don't think there's any big problem with that, is there any reason we can't charge an entry fee for people to come in and either have access to the beach or pay for parking?
Parking, perhaps, as long as there's, the way WC 30, says is, no private property, private ownership, but, we can find that. I would imagine you could charge parking.
Because it seems like they bring a lot of stuff they put in our garbage cans and, there's some expense for that.
Yeah, we gotta clean the bathrooms and everything else, right? But Linda?
I have a question, it's just here, it says on this, we're doing this in January now, because I'm assuming the paperwork's not done, but it says the 2024 permit lease costs with the swim beaches is going to be $2,133.81. So is that the number you've been given? And even though we don't renew until in 2025, it's for 2024?
Those are the rates they've been charging us, Linda, and we've been paying since 2021. That was my first question when he said, we put this on hold before COVID. I said, are we current? And he said, oh yeah, you're current.
Yeah.
He said, we need to have you reapply.
Current to the 31st.
I think it's something we do every year, it's just that it's something that's normally,
Well, this one is for.
This is for 4 years.
225.
It's 2,000, we'll say 2,133 for
Yeah.
4 years.
No, it has
It's every year.
escalation each year, yeah.
So
So it approximates the CPI.
So 20, and then they mentioned it, make it private, it's 26,000, is that per year, or is that?
Yeah,
per year.
Additional per year.
Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, I didn't know this was coming up, but I did some investigating as to why HOAs are not eligible for FEMA funds. And one of the main reasons is we're considered a private entity and not open to the public.
Yep.
There is a bipartisan bill going through Congress, HR 3077. But it's kind of stuck in committee for a while. They may be trying to change, they are trying to change it.
Most HOAs don't have, we, a long time ago, went through, we actually had a specialist, a CPA out of California. Filed for us, and we actually are a non-for-profit HOA. We didn't apply. As here we're an HOA, we applied as a social welfare organization, which we are. But that's how we managed to get that status. And that's why we have opened everything up to people. If we don't pay taxes, we fill out the 990 and all that information, but it's, the relief of taxes is probably, I think. I can't remember, it's been so long ago. We actually got some taxes back from the federal government when they approved our new status. So.
You never told dollar amount that you're asking for this?
Well, it'll be the annual amounts, as soon as I complete the application, they'll send back the current fees.
Okay. All right, so this time we're not asking for any fee, you're just asking, I'm gonna read the motion. So the motion is move that the board of directors authorize the GM to complete the joint aquatic resources permit application with the swim beaches continuing to be open to the public.
Second.
Thank you, Linda. Hang on, I gotta see what it goes. All in favor? Since we've already discussed it. All right, that's unanimous. Had a discussion first, but that's no problem. All right, thank you, Michael, on that. All right, moving next to 8B, sorry. 8B is the driveway access easement draft proposal for 65 Stable Lane and the adjacent properties. Michael?
Yes, sir. Purpose, this is to request board approval of the request from 5 property owners to improve and maintain the SBCA owned parcel ID 29423, which they use as access to their property driveways. So this quote green space parcel labeled as Part 2 on the assessor map has recorded easements allowing driveway access to 5 homes. The lots that use the dirt driveway are, and there are the addresses. 67 Stable Lane B, 67 Stable Lane, 65 Stable Lane, 63 Stable Lane, and 51 Stable Lane. Over the last 20 years, the 5 property owners have paid to replace the gravel on the steep access driveway for maintenance. Each time this was done, it was only a short time before rain and weather eventually washed a good portion of gravel down the steep drive into the driveway at 65 Stable Lane and the main road at the bottom of the hill, which is Stable Lane. The owners paid for that work and materials over the years. The request is the 5 homeowners working together developed a viable solution that would not waste their money as the gravel was washed away each year. They propose to pay for and install a driveway surface grid system that's 100% permeable and filled with gravel. And it's used in residential and commercial applications. The product is environmentally compatible, it's non-toxic, harms plants, animals, microorganisms. It's an inert groundwater neutral material. And it's a grid system that interlocks and they fill it with gravel. And it stabilizes the road surface and it's permeable, so rainfall is right through it. Myself and Mike Brock, we surveyed the location and we recommend the board approve the material and the installation. And I've seen the same material they use it in Seattle quite a bit, where it's permeable parking lot. And works very well. And so that is the background on it, and you can see the email string with one homeowner, Miss Carter is the one who's ramrodded this, and I admire her. But she has gotten consensus from her 5 owners, her 5 neighbors, and researched it and came up with a great solution. And all we need to do is approve it, they're gonna pay for it. And the easements have been granted long ago, so it's not an issue that you're granting an easement, they're already using it, it's a dirt driveway.
So
And this has been discussed with our.
it goes in this way,
Yeah,
from in that all the way up to there.
see, all of those homes, Rick, are built, turned around. So the front of the home, yeah, the driveway's not unstable, it's on our dirt
That's on this bit right now.
on that little strip.
So I'm gonna go ahead and read the motion at this time. The motion to move that the board of directors authorize the GM to inform the property owners that SDCA approves their request to install and maintain the driveway surface gravel filled grid system, provided the plan, materials, and methods are reviewed and approved by the SDCA maintenance manager, Mike Brock. You should also have the ACC in there. Well, it's on your property. It won't be able to see. Mike Brock, and that the owners complete any applicable permits and applications.
That was the language there, but that would
Yeah,
be
perfect.
county and ACC.
We get a second on that motion?
Second, waiting for you to finish.
Thank you, Linda.
Question?
Yes, sir. Stu first.
So Mike is gonna oversee that they do things properly and that it's built to specifications.
Oh, yeah, well, the county permits can require that as well. And the ACC will bring it.
We don't get into the county.
Yeah, sure, it's pretty basic. You know,
Yeah,
they're kind of a dam and they're gonna back it smooth and then lay it, interlock it, fill it with gravel, and it doesn't go anywhere.
But since it's Sun Valley property, we need to make sure that it's done properly.
Of course,
Yeah, absolutely.
that's why we put that caveat on it.
Yeah.
Who is next? Someone else?
And Mike's-
No,
Mike's
this was
position.
always
Yeah,
different.
for sure.
You did.
I'm against this. It's a park property. It's not a keyway. Never was a keyway. all of our keyways on any map that you look at, especially if you look at original plat maps, have a K on them. And they're K1, K12, K whatever, you know. These people, when they built their homes, had the opportunity to build to one of our existing roads. And we basically say in our restrictive covenants that we are taking from the developer this property and keeping it that way. You aren't if you're putting, you know, they meant it to be just a natural pathway. They didn't mean for it to have, what did she say, 12 cars a day using this? Parking on there? You know, everybody can do what they want. That's my opinion. It's just, it's parkland. And
I
it
think
shouldn't
the
be.
problem, Linda, is that, in the past, the easement was granted to them.
Yeah.
I
think
haven't
they-
seen, I haven't seen that easement. That wasn't included in any of the paperwork.
Okay, would you like me to?
I would like, if I can see that, you know, I don't know, that would, you'd have to go back and see who was on the board and who approved all these easements, because these houses were all built at different periods of time.
Well, I think all the houses were approved to be built with their driveways facing the parkland.
Sure, I can't assume that, but I would bet that they would not have planted those houses there, because how do you undo it now? Not only is adverse possession come into effect here, because you've allowed them to build a home there, but
Yeah.
What do you do?
Let's say.
tear the house down and turn them around now, that's gonna be tough.
Go ahead, Rick.
No, I'm very sympathetic with Linda's view, but if. I'm assuming we granted the easement. And if it was 20 years ago, it's pretty hard to walk back, it seems to me. My initial reaction was much like Linda's. I thought, well, no, this is supposed to be a pathway for like wildlife and that to be able to, or
And
people to take a walk,
people.
a hike or whatever, so. But you can still walk on a driveway. But so if the easements have been in place for that long and are valid, I'm okay with this.
I just,
Go ahead, Stuart.
I'm sympathetic with Linda's viewpoint as well, but Gene and I were actually looking at buying this piece of property of 67B to build our house on. And it is a beautiful road that goes up there, and there is no distinction between the parkland and the other properties. So.
You know, I like, but I don't,
You
you
really
know-
can't tell the difference.
but if they develop and do all this, is it still gonna maintain that?
That's a good, well, it won't be the same, it won't be as natural as a parkland, because you'll have something that now looks like a driveway that's, you got pavers in there that have.
And why do they, and I guess I don't understand why they also want this green space lot.
Oh, they don't, I don't think they're looking for a lot.
Oh, all right,
No,
No, they just wanna be, they have a driveway there, but they gravel it every year. And they plow the snow for it, and the rain comes, washes all the gravel down into the stable, so. Yeah.
This is an improvement.
And all
Yeah.
those houses, the front of the house is facing the lake. Right. So the natural place for the driveway is coming in the front of the house, which is the way most people build their houses. These people obviously could have built their houses where the driveway was coming in the back, but they didn't. And my house, that and Lake Forest Park was built that way, the driveway came in the back, it's just something they have to learn to live with. But it's obviously the way it is now, and then using.
Whatever the board's pleasure is, Linda, if you want.
I would like to see, I really would like to see the easements. Cause
Okay.
it's just, I can't believe that someone would just say, here, take the parkland. It's like we have covenants that say this was given to us by the developer. You know, and you're just gonna hear.
Well, I'm assuming they're telling the truth, but being a former cop, I'll be happy to investigate it.
Could I,
I'm assuming they're telling the truth.
could I amend the motion to say that, approval based on valid easements being in place? That way we don't have to wait another meeting if they're gonna be more.
that'd be good.
All right, this is board director,
Aye.
authorized the GM to appoint the property owner to intends.
In place. I already got it. You just put one little sentence at the end of the motion. That's all
All
you
right,
need.
let's go. What's your sentence, say that?
providing valid easements are in place. That's all, yeah, that's just, you know, the whole motion would say, move that the board of directors authorize,
Providing valid easements are in place.
yes.
Thank you. All right, so the motion is move that the board of directors authorize the GM to inform the property owners that SDCA approves their request to install and maintain the driveway surface gravel filled grid system. There's gotta be a better name for that. Provided the plan, materials and methods are reviewed and approved by SDCA maintenance manager Mike Brock, and that the owners completely and applicably apply and complete
Any applicable permits,
complete any, I see it, any applicable permits and applications for. See now, we're what, providing valid easements are in place, existing valid easements,
yes,
providing existing.
I just put a comment, Linda, at the end, provided valid easements are in place, period.
There you go.
after providing from this, after.
That's better.
Pool
Provided.
benefit from this project, comma,
Yeah.
providing valid easements are in place.
Yeah, we should be able to do that at no cost. We'll go through the county records. We don't need to use legal.
Oh, good.
Okay, all in favor? What say you?
What say you? I need to know if you're 5
I'm
or
in.
4.
Yeah.
I'm not approved. I'm voting against this.
Okay,
So you're for it?
I am.
That's all I need to know.
5-1.
Yep.
Yes. Okay. And then you will, remember the easements are in place already, the easement. All right, moving on to HC, we are going to do the capital request for the golf maintenance equipment.
Sure, I'll speak on
Mike,
that.
sorry.
Right. And the request is final approval for a heavy duty 35-yard capacity golf training. The golf course currently doesn't have a turf care specific flotation tire dump trailer that allows for efficient use throughout the golf course. The turf care quote trucks, the gators and pro gators are limited to transporting small loads throughout the golf course. Access to a turf care specific trailer allows quicker, more efficient use of labor and equipment by moving one material in bulk rather than multiple small loads. An estimated proposal presented, we then approved in a 2025 capital plan for $15,000 to purchase a new turf care trailer. Sized appropriately, that can increase the lifespan of the utility trailer. The purchase lead time is expected to be 6 to 10 weeks after board approval. That's why we have one in January. Allows them to receive the trailer sooner and use it during the winter drainage cleanup. You can see the load capacities of the current Gator 600 pounds, the Pro Gator 3,400. This machine, as you can see on the pages with the photographs, has large, wide flotation tires, and it's got 12,000 pounds of capacity. Has the hydraulic dump bed on it, and this was the request of he compared this with the Dakota 550 and the Turbine BB12, which were a little bit less, but not recommended by the research he did and the peers at other golf courses. This is a first class piece of equipment. So that is the request.
Thank you, Michael. All right, I'll make the motion. I move that the board of directors approve the allocation of $16,400 plus tax from CERF for purchasing a new turf care material trailer.
Second,
Thank you, Linda. Okay, questions? Linda first.
I got a comment. So it says to approve the allocation of 16,400 for tax. If I read these people's bid, that's from out of South Carolina. It says here that it says no tax on outside of South Carolina purchase, so I'm assuming there is gonna be no tax. I don't know if Washington State's gonna make us pay something.
They may recapture it, and so that's why we put it. in
Okay,
the-
I'm just,
It may come back in and.
I've never
and
ever
buy
heard
it, so,
of it.
yeah, we wanna make sure,
They will.
yeah.
Just checking, cause I've never seen someplace
Yeah,
that
that's
doesn't
surprising
have
too.
sales tax when you buy an item from them, that's all, it just was unusual. Okay,
Tom?
Yeah, well, I had the same question as Linda, but also, I would be a lot more comfortable if this request was coming from maintenance. We spent a pretty good chunk of change last month,
This is for maintenance.
but it was short there.
okay.
Well, I mean, per care maintenance, you mean you want it to come from maintenance department itself?
Well, yeah, we spent, we bought a top dresser last month,
Yeah.
and we're gonna be requesting a special assessment, and
These are all,
This-
in there, these are in their reserve.
Yeah, this is our reserve.
Their program for replacement.
They are,
Yeah.
their program, it's programmed,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just 1,600, off 1,600 over budget, which is not unusual for the reserve study, in fact, it's really moderate to be that close.
Yeah, that's a good question, Tom, but it is already budgeted program into the reserve.
I don't even know if there's any way that maintenance would use that kind of,
Oh, the
A
big
piece of
tires, but
equipment.
it would be cool to have a trailer like that for, moving big things, so I agree with that. All right, so the motion on the table was move that the board of directors approve the allocation of 16,400 plus tax on CERT for purchasing a new turf care material trailer. I was seconded by Linda. All in favor? Oh, you had a question, Stuart? I'm sorry, I missed you.
That's fine, I was just making sure that we had 3 different quotes, and I think.
Yeah, there's.
I one of those, right?
Okay, all in favor? Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you, Michael. Okay, moving on to 8E. 8E. All right, 8E is our short-term rental resolution. So as we all know, short-term has been an issue here, not only here, in all HOAs and in a lot of places, in particular, I think condo has been worse, but. So we've had a situation with STRs here, we do know that STRs, we cannot ban them from here, so we have to figure out a way to work with them. So one of the things we came up with, was a resolution for a Sun Valley task force. So I'm gonna read the resolution, to the board, and each one of you have this, and then we're gonna have any questions, if you can get this adopted. So the Sun Valley Homeowners Association proposed task force for short-term rental units, herein referred to as STRs. So whereas the governing documents of Sun Valley Homeowners Association assigns the board all powers and duties necessary for the administration of the affairs of Sun Valley Homeowners Association, and states that the board may do all such acts and things except those matters that the board is prohibited from doing by law or the governing documents. Whereas the association has incurred a dramatic increase in STR complaints over the last few years as they have become more and more popular. Whereas the association is incurring financial expenses related to the increase in STR related complaints. Whereas the board has determined that it is in the best interest of the association and the association's members, residents, and guests to create standards, policies, and registration requirements for owners renting out their properties, short term, which is considered less than 30 days, in order to hold those renters accountable, to hold the rental owners accountable for ensuring that the rental guests are held to the same standards as our homeowners here in the community, through increased awareness and active enforcement of the existing Sun Valley Homeowners Association rules and regulations. And I guess I probably could have made a couple sentences out of that, but it's a long one. Therefore, I recommend that the board move forward with the motion to appoint the Sun Valley STR Task Force composed of 2 board members and 6 community members. It is further recommended that the board appoint the community members, and I wrote 3 pro STRs and 3 that oppose, but I think it's better if we said balanced. With a balanced board, right? We don't want everyone all 4 STRs, and we want to make sure we're balanced task force, is what I wanted to say. So the board will expect a report in 90 days from the task force first meeting, and I know 90 days is quick. But there's a lot of information that we've obtained, you know, this has been going on for several months, we've talked about it, and we've been trying to collect, you know, information that we've gone along from different HOAs and stuff like that. Michael brought quite a bit of information with him, so I've got a bit of stuff that I wanna forward on to whoever board members it's gonna be. I was actually thinking long range planning should have been, that's why I looked over Rick, because I wanted to forward the stuff on to you guys, so you guys had it, but I think you need to do something so much quicker, because of, you know, associations are up in arms over STRs right now. So anyways, that's the STR that I put together, or the task force resolution that I put together. Is there anything else that I missed or that I want to add into here? You didn't like the wording of it or anything like that? Or
Do you want to add reporting at the end of the 90 day? Oh, I see that the board will expect a report, I see it.
So do you think it should say it's further recommended that the board appoint community members? I don't know that I like to put 3 pro STRs and 3 that oppose STRs. That's, I don't know, is that fair or?
But it's what it is, and there are.
Yeah, I think,
It's okay. I mean, we have them, we know who they are, like, we have most of these people, I think we probably have 6 already that have sent in emails requesting to be on this task force.
You have 3 owners, and then 3 people that are not owners, I'm thinking.
In theory, they're all owners.
They're all owners.
In
They're all
theory,
owners.
they're all.
They own their house, they're
all
all
owners.
owners.
It's just some of them are not living in them, they are operating them as a business, strictly STR, but they are the owner.
So then if we agree with this resolution, then we're gonna go forward with it. Have any other questions or comments on it? I know Tom, that's what looking over there waiting for you, go ahead.
No, I'm just wondering who the enforcement agency is gonna be for the security.
No, well, so that's something else, like, right now we need to get over this hump, like, how are we gonna register and we're gonna do that? We do have a compliance officer now, right? So we didn't have that before, so we do have that ability. It's not that we couldn't mandate security to be more involved, we certainly could, we could, you know, we have to contract with them, there's things we can do. I think it's important for us right now to figure out a way to corral it, the problem, how we're gonna get our hands around it, and then try to figure out, okay, how do we fine tune it? How are we, it really doesn't be Michael's operation deal, how are you gonna monitor this, how are we gonna keep track of this? We gotta come up with fines, like I said, Michael sent a lot of information, I wanna get to the committee when we do the select committee. That I think will take 6 months out of the committee, because they have all this information they've already compiled, and a lot of a great starting point, I felt. So I think the 90 days is doable, we just have to figure who on the board is interested in being on the STR. Committee, and unfortunately, we're missing several board members tonight, so maybe we wanna wait till the next board meeting.
Have to approve this and.
Yeah, to get everything done right, make sure everyone's, a little disappointed that, you know, so many people are vacationing now, but it is what it is. But anyways, that's the gist of it, so we won't take any action on that tonight, it is what it is, I just read it to you.
If you want, we could approve the resolution to create this.
Task force.
Then you got it done, then next, when we meet again, then the directors are appointed.
Okay,
And then
Good
they'll
call.
go forward, there's already a list of people that want to.
there is.
Yes.
All right, good call. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and make a motion then. I'm gonna make a motion that the board of directors. Oh, I already did it, right?
Yeah,
Therefore, I
down the
recommend
very
the board-
bottom.
Right, okay. All right, therefore, I'm gonna read it again. I recommend the board move forward with a motion to appoint Southern Valley STR Task Force to those 2 board members and 6 community members. It's further recommended that the board appoint community members with 3 pro STRs and 3 that oppose STRs. The board will expect to report in 90 days from the task force first meeting.
So,
Thank you, Linda. Go ahead. Go, Rick.
just to anticipate maybe. Murphy's Law, you have an even number of committee members. You could end up with a lot of tied votes. You may want to have an odd number.
So maybe do one board member?
Or,
has to be 2 board members.
or you could,
It can't be a task force.
Yes, no, it does,
Oh,
I've already
you're
been on
task force.
one.
so actually, the committee could be formed so that the chair doesn't vote unless there's a tie.
Yeah, that
So
would be
if
the way,
there's only 7,
that's the way to do it.
That's the way to do
yeah,
it.
I think that's
Good.
that's all.
That's something in their little
Yeah.
charter and their little, here's how we'll do things.
So the chair doesn't vote unless it's tied.
Yeah,
Well, that's pretty much how it should be.
Yeah, it really should be, yeah. So that's that actually.
The chair will do a true chair. All right, all in favor? All right, that's been approved. All
Are
right,
you unanimous with this, Gary?
what's that?
Did you vote, so we're unanimous here?
Yeah, we are,
It
yeah,
says
that's
unanimous vote, I
Yeah.
want to get this.
Okay, and next thing we have, our last thing is, SVCA treasurer vacancy appointment. So we have a vacancy on the, for our SVCA treasurer. And so I'm looking for anyone that wants to be nominated for that position tonight and. Or who would like to nominate someone. I'm gonna start out, well, I guess I shouldn't start out, but I would like to nominate Rick. Rick Asai for treasurer. Anybody else? Have any interest in being the treasurer? No. Okay, does anybody have any issues with Rick Asai being our board treasurer?
Rick, do you accept the position if
I would
you're
accept that.
appointed?
I didn't have to ask you.
Yeah,
You can't say no.
No, but that's something you used to have to do, the person has to confirm.
I asked it prior, obviously. All in favor of Rick Asai? For treasurer, and welcome to the executive branch of the government.
But you gotta go down there and sign checks, you know, now I know. You
Oh,
need
good.
to see, you need to go to Rick, need to go see Joel.
Are you sure?
You have paperwork you're gonna have to
Okay.
fill out for Joel.
Yeah, we have to, we seriously, you have to get
Is he,
signed and
is
stuff.
he in now?
He's in right now.
Before you change your mind.
It's that-
I'll take you over there. Yes, sir.
Do we have the second board member for the?
Tiny already is.
Yeah, Tiny.
That's why she brought these people
Are you-
forward.
are
I
you-
really think will be.
You're gonna be around more thing, and I'll take, let's end the meeting first, and then we'll talk. Yeah, I'd like to find out if that's working out for you.
There isn't anybody waiting to make comments, is there, Spencer? That lady got to make a comment?
No,
Are you
I'm,
gonna make comments back in?
yeah, I'm waiting to make a comment.
I'm here to meet Keith.
Oh, there's a guy online?
Yeah.
There's a guy online?
Keith, you poor bastard.
Keep listen,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
there's somebody there.
Okay, somebody's on.
James Johansson?
Yes,
Oh,
hello.
I wouldn't interrupt him, go ahead.
Yeah, don't you dare. I'll be real brief. Sorry, I couldn't join I tried to get into the Zoom at the start, but I couldn't get in for some reason. So just wanted to add a couple comments regarding the water tower. Just a little context to this. There's been extensive study on this whole, on the reservoir water towers up there. Lake Whatcom Water and Sewer has been looking at it for years. They've studied it. They've had engineers. There's been public hearings. There's been all kinds of stuff. So there's a whole website on this. It's called I think it's called the Whatcom County Reservoir 7 Replacement Project. Long and short, I looked at all the reservoirs, and they found that this reservoir, number 7 up by Grandview Lane there, has the highest probability of failure, and also the highest consequence if it fails. So it's their top priority to replace it. And I think it's over 60 years old at this point. And the challenge here is if that fails, there are many, many homes in the direct path of 1 million gallons of water that will roll right over top of them. And the consequences obviously are pretty bleak, and it could cause a landslide. And that water, because it's at the top of the hill, it will roll all the way down, and every home in its path will get wiped out. So they've prioritized this to replace it. They're almost done. So obviously I'm opposed to, keeping that tower up there because I can't sleep at night until they come down. We count the days for that tower to get removed. But with that said, the new towers are significantly safer. They're built by the best engineering company they could find, or who bid on that. There's a bunch of them. They looked at it. So it's got all the modern standards. It's designed with earthquake protection. It will shut off if there's an earthquake. So much safer, much more efficient, higher pressure, lots and lots of people involved, FEMA, you name it. So extensively looked at. There's also more cost-effective ways, I think, to handle fire prevention. The last thing I'll say on this is, speaking as a survivor of the Woolsey fire 4 years ago, sorry, in Los Angeles, where my neighborhood burnt down. there are water towers around us. The water towers didn't protect us. There's a lot of different factors that go into fire prevention, including clearing the ground in the neighborhood around your homes, and the geography that you're in. So superheated Santa Ana winds blowing across the arid desert are something that we don't have to deal with. So, lots of different options. Certainly fire prevention is important, but I think the risks of that tower are much greater than I think were expressed earlier.
Thank you for that, I appreciate it. Go ahead, Tom. Tom, I have a question for you.
Yeah, I'm new to this tower thing, or the reservoir thing, I've never heard of it before.
Yeah.
I assume there's water in it at this time, and for what purpose?
Could you read? I couldn't hear you. I'm sorry.
They changed the $1 million, the 1,000,000-gallon old tank was a huge old, like you said, been there over 60 years, and they put in 252, I think there are 2 tanks now, with 250,000 gallons. Each, so.
3D1.
It's actually, so 500,000.
Water, it's in there now.
And further away, it's actually a better location, I think, a little further away. The other tank is right on houses, actually.
We've got a bunch of tanks all throughout the valley. One up in gate 5. Over in
Yeah.
gate 3, I think there's 2 at least.
All right, James, you have anything else there?
No, just I think that's it. The 2 towers were very solid, and again, if there's any seismic activity in this area, is prone to it. Obviously, big risk there, and also the corrosion factor. They're 60 years old, so they got to be replaced at some point.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
You got it. Thank you for your time.
You bet. Spencer, anyone else, sir?
Not online, no.
Okay.
Mitch?
Good evening. 15 Grandview Lane.
Your name, please? No, I'm just kidding.
You can take my picture sideways, it saves money later. The tank has been a risk to the association for a long time. And I'm really glad that the water district is doing something about it. It has been a known risk, and the risk has been increasing over time. It is not a simple repair of throw a slab of steel on and weld it, as it was mentioned earlier. I mean, it is a structural failure point, and it would take a lot of homes out and possibly even cause a landslide. I'm glad this tank needs to go. And as Linda pointed out, we have multiple tanks throughout the association in many locations. And we also have 2 things right nearby, which is called lakes. And in a fire issue, the fire department can pump into their pumpers and go. That's one. Couple items. The estimate that was put together by PNW, when they laid out their discussion for how they would do the repair, doing it in stages to see what they would find. That is not a 20% contingency expectation, because they don't know, they know that they don't know how much damage is there. And so knowing that you don't know and that you expect to have to repair as you go, I would expect the contingency on that to be in the 35 to 50% range, not a 20% range. I think 20% is dream material. The risk is because as he pointed out, the risk is known that they are going to find things that they anticipate finding. And so that is too low of a number. And it was discussed, Rick had brought up, Mr. Treasurer now had brought up.
I wasn't the treasurer then.
I'm sorry. The title's there, buddy. When you brought up the question on this particular facility, we have different phased ages of the building. Now, I thought long-range planning was going to take this on, and my concern is if long-range planning is going to crush and put a lot of energy into it, will that be wasted energy, or will it be worked at the executive level while a committee is working it, and our effort would be actually not well valued, or not well valued but wasted energy? If you're going to move forward with design decisions, should we not have that in the long range planning as a priority to work? I think it's a reasonable question to ask,
Yeah, it is.
because we have 7 people who will focus on it. And if we spend a lot of time and crush it and then find out, nope, decision was already made. I think that we need to have that before we go forward. Other than that, I want to say that I'm really impressed by the GM's report. It's very nice to see how early the report was posted, how comprehensive the report is. I think we've got a good GM and it's looking really good. Now you owe me $5 for that. You owe me $5 for that. No, you get it when you pay my bar tab. So it was a very good report. I liked it. It was really good. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Mitch.
Thank you.
All right.
I was gonna comment, like the page numbers on here, so you can.
Yeah, page one.
You click on the page number, and it could work. I'll need all the help.
Sure.
During the meeting at 9:20,
Hey,
all in favor? Aye. Everybody, perfect, 9:20.
got it.
It'd just be nice if we follow the page numbers, go through